Peanut butter is one of the most iconic staples in American kitchens. From school lunches to late-night snacks, millions of families reach for it without a second thought. But behind those familiar labels and nostalgic ads, some brands are hiding mold toxins, rancid oils, bacterial outbreaks, and even metal fragments. Today, we're ranking the worst peanut butter brands you need to stop buying and revealing to that truly deserve a spot in your pantry. Worst brands. 1. Peter Pan. Peter Pan built its reputation on childhood nostalgia, a smiling label, a playful name, and decades of trust. But in 2006, a manufacturing facility in Sylvester, Georgia became the epicenter of a major public health crisis. Laboratory testing discovered Salmonella Tennessee inside sealed jars. The contamination spread rapidly, sickening more than 425 individuals across 44 states. Children, elderly people, and anyone managing conditions like high blood pressure or kidney disease suffered the most. Investigators later uncovered the root causes: aging roasters that failed to heat peanuts evenly, a leaking roof dripping moisture directly onto production equipment, and a storm-damaged sugar silo that managers chose to keep in operation rather than repair. Staff members reportedly flagged shortened cleaning cycles and delayed maintenance, but output was prioritized over safety. The contamination didn't stay contained to grocery shelves. Because Peter Pan held national distribution contracts, its peanut butter ended up in school cafeterias, dessert toppings, and meal replacement bars, spreading risk coast to coast. In 2015, parent company Conagra pleaded guilty to distributing adulterated food and was fined $11.2 million. At the time, one of the largest food safety penalties on record. The lesson here isn't just about one recall. It's about what happens when a brand uses consumer trust as a shield against accountability. 2. Skippy. Skippy was one of the most recognizable names in American households, a bright blue lid, kid-friendly marketing, and a long track record on store shelves. Then 2022 arrived. The brand issued a recall covering more than 161,000 pounds of product across 18 states after stainless steel fragments were discovered inside jars. The contamination wasn't limited to one variety, it spread across reduced fat, creamy, chunky, and the plant protein blend. The cause: mechanical failure on the production line. Equipment had been degrading, and metal shards broke loose and mixed directly into the paste. Consumer forums filled with reports of people discovering shiny flakes or thin metallic strips inside their jars. Some individuals mailed samples back to the company. But many households may never have noticed, and some may have swallowed fragments without realizing. For seniors on blood-thinning medication, even a small metal shard in the digestive tract carries the risk of internal bleeding. For young children, it could mean a blocked airway or internal tissue damage. The physical risks are serious, and the systemic failure, factory equipment deteriorating to the point of contaminating the food supply, raises deeper questions about oversight and quality control. Skippy continues to dominate shelf space through major retail contracts and aggressive marketing. But a brand's size is not a guarantee of safety. If the machinery inside the plant can't hold together, neither can the promise on the label. 3. Ritz peanut butter crackers. Ritz built its identity around being a safe, dependable snack, the kind of product parents trust for lunchboxes and afternoon snacks without checking the fine print. In 2018, that trust was put directly at risk. A packaging error resulted in film wrappers labeled as cheese cracker sandwiches being used on products that actually contained peanut butter. Thousands of sleeves were shipped to grocery stores, vending machines, and school cafeterias before the error was caught. For the more than 3 million Americans living with peanut allergies, that label swap wasn't a minor inconvenience. It was potentially life-threatening. A single bite of undisclosed peanut protein can trigger anaphylaxis within minutes, swelling in the throat, loss of airway, and cardiac stress. For children already managing allergies, or for elderly individuals on medications that interact with allergic reactions, one mislabeled sleeve could have meant a 911 call. The packaging error was traced to a printing supplier, but the product still passed through multiple checkpoints at Ritz before reaching shelves. A billion-dollar brand with the resources to implement rigorous quality control allowed wrappers announcing the wrong product entirely to be shipped by the thousands. This incident is a reminder that convenience and brand familiarity are not substitutes for verification. Always read allergen labels, even on packaging that looks exactly like what you've bought before. 4. House of Natural Butters. Rustic fonts. brown paper labels, words like wholesome, earthy, and farm style. House of Natural Butters carefully crafted the image of a pure, artisan product. But behind that branding, federal inspectors found something invisible and far more dangerous than a poor ingredient list. Aflatoxins are toxic compounds produced by specific molds that develop on peanuts when they're stored in damp, poorly managed conditions. According to the World Health Organization, long-term aflatoxin exposure is one of the leading environmental causes of liver cancer and also contributes to kidney damage and immune system suppression. Unlike bacterial contamination, aflatoxins don't cause immediate symptoms. They accumulate silently, meal after meal, with damage that may not surface for years. What inspectors documented at House of Natural Butters pointed directly to storage failures, cracked silos, leaking rooftops, and raw peanuts sitting in damp warehouse corners. Conditions that practically invite mold growth. The brand had skipped the rigorous aflatoxin testing that responsible manufacturers use precisely to catch these threats before they reach consumers. Families buying these jars believed they were making the safer, healthier choice. Instead, they were unknowingly exposing themselves and their children to a slow-acting toxin. Europe caps aflatoxin levels at 2 to 4 parts per billion in food products. American consumers deserve the same protection, not a rustic label pretending that natural automatically means safe. 5. Jif. Few brands have a stronger association with American comfort food than Jif. That bright red label has been a kitchen fixture since the 1940s, backed by decades of marketing built around family and trust. But inside the company's primary facility in Lexington, Kentucky, FDA inspectors documented a pattern that directly contradicted that image. Environmental testing at the plant flagged salmonella contamination on processing equipment not once, but more than a dozen separate times. Internal records showed repeated alerts. Production continued. In 2022, when the public finally learned about the contamination, jars had already reached homes across multiple states. The reach of the problem extended far beyond store shelves. Because Jif peanut butter is used as an ingredient across the food industry in granola bars, ice cream toppings, cookies, and prepackaged meals, a single contaminated batch rippled through the supply chain. Families who deliberately avoided buying Jif at the store still consumed it through snack products and cafeteria items. Former employees reported that cleaning schedules were shortened to maintain output targets, and that testing was sometimes delayed to avoid interrupting shipments. 12 separate contamination flags were logged before a recall was issued. For anyone with a compromised immune system, elderly individuals, young children, or those on medications that affect immune response, salmonella is not simply food poisoning. It can mean prolonged hospitalization, blood infections, and in the most severe cases, fatal complications. A brand can spend tens of millions on advertising and still fail the people buying its product. Jif's case is proof. 6. Sunland. The worst. In 2012, Sunland became the center of one of the most extensive peanut butter recalls in the history of the United States. More than 40 people across 20 states fell ill with salmonella traced directly to Sunland products. But the real story wasn't just the outbreak, it was what federal inspectors found when they stepped inside the facility. Sunland marketed itself as the responsible alternative, organic, natural, a better choice for health-conscious families and parents who wanted to avoid the industrial brands. What the FDA uncovered told a completely different story. Pest infestations, filthy production floors, equipment coated in biological residue, and roaches. Pipes above the production line were rusting and paint was actively peeling, with every drip and flake landing directly into the peanut paste below. The violations weren't isolated. Inspectors identified systemic failures across sanitation, maintenance, and storage practices. Raw peanuts were stored in uncovered trailers, exposed to weather, birds, and insects. The very conditions that organic branding is supposed to prevent were present at every stage of production. Parents who specifically sought out Sunland believing it was the cleaner option sent their children to school with contaminated lunches. Dozens of confirmed cases involved children who ended up in emergency rooms with severe gastrointestinal illness. For elderly consumers or anyone with compromised immunity, these infections carried the potential for life-threatening complications. The fallout was permanent. Lawsuits mounted. Consumer confidence collapsed. In 2013, Sunland filed for bankruptcy, leaving behind one of the most devastating examples of how organic branding, without genuine safety standards, becomes a dangerous lie. Best brands: 1 Trader Joe's. No cartoon mascots. No superfood buzzwords. No glittering promises stamped across the lid. Trader Joe's peanut butter presents itself exactly as it is, a plain jar with a short ingredient list, peanuts and a little salt. And in an industry where labels routinely lie, that simplicity is one of the most trustworthy signals a product can send. There are no hydrogenated oils, no hidden sweeteners, and no emulsifiers engineered to extend shelf life. Open the jar and the oil will have separated to the top, which frustrates some shoppers, but is actually a sign of integrity. Real peanut butter separates. Products that don't are being held together by chemical stabilizers. Stir once, and you have exactly what you paid for. For individuals managing heart conditions or high blood pressure, the details matter. Trader Joe's comes in at roughly 65 milligrams of sodium per tablespoon, compared to more than 120 milligrams in some big-name reduced-fat alternatives. Lower sodium, no trans fats, fewer additives, and a price point that usually lands between $3 and $4 per jar. You're not paying a premium for rustic packaging or green marketing language. You're paying for peanuts, done correctly. Trader Joe's has stayed out of every major recall and contamination story, while larger brands with far greater resources have failed consumers repeatedly. Sometimes the safest product is the one that has nothing to prove. 2 Crazy Richard's the best. 1 ingredient: peanuts. That is the entire contents of a Crazy Richard's jar. No salt, no sugar, no palm oil, no stabilizers, nothing added, nothing hidden. In a market where even products labeled as natural routinely contain additives and filler ingredients, a brand willing to put exactly one thing in the jar is making a statement. Independent testing has confirmed what the label already implies. Crazy Richard's consistently posts clean aflatoxin scores, the contamination standard that several other brands discussed here have failed to meet. While competitors were receiving FDA warnings for peanut products testing above safe aflatoxin thresholds, compounds linked to liver cancer and immune damage, Crazy Richard's cleared every bar without fanfare. The brand sources its peanuts domestically. A 2019 USDA study noted that aflatoxins threaten roughly 25% of global crop yields, peanuts included, and that risk is significantly higher with overseas suppliers where quality inspections are less consistent. By keeping sourcing closer to home and maintaining transparency about nutrition partnerships with food scientists, Crazy Richard's reduces the exposure points where contamination typically enters. The jar does require stirring. The oil will rise because there's nothing synthetic holding the paste together. Critics call it inconvenient, but it's worth reframing. A jar that never separates is a jar where something artificial is doing work that nature never intended. 15 seconds of stirring is a reasonable trade for a product with no hidden compounds stressing your liver, kidneys, or cardiovascular system. 1 serving delivers 180 calories, approximately 8 grams of protein, 0 cholesterol, no added sugar, and no added sodium. For seniors managing blood pressure, for children who don't need peanut-flavored frosting in their lunches, and for anyone who simply wants to know what they're eating, Crazy Richard's delivers what every other brand claims to. In a food industry built on marketing over integrity, choosing the plainest jar on the shelf might be the most informed decision you can make.